this is the drum that I keep kind of banging, is that this is really good news because
Mm.
it means that your porn struggle is not a life sentence to addiction or to shame. It is a roadmap to healing. And so that is the importance of going back, not just to when did you start struggling with porn, but tell me some of those foundational moments in your family or in your middle school years where
Mhm.
the voice of shame really began to solidify, because we all know that shame might be a response to participating in a behavior that we're not fond of. But what I think we also need to begin to invite people to consider is, if you believe that you are unwanted or unworthy of love or belonging,
Mm.
you are very, very likely to pursue behaviors that confirm that core belief about who you are.
That
And that,
that confirm
oh,
that
go
you're
for it.
not wanted, or that seek to address the
Yes.
wound that you're not wanted.
That's another thing that I often, it might sound like splitting hairs in our field, but some people will say, well, I'm using porn to self medicate wounds. And again, you will never hear me say that that is untrue. But I think the much more true thing is that if we believe that there's something foul, perverse, ugly, distorted, broken about who we are, shame loves to find more and more data that convinces itself that that message is true. And so that's what I find, over and over again, is like, if you really press people of like, yes, you know that it's self-medicating from a fight in your marriage, or self-medicating the wounds of childhood, but if you actually ask them, what is your existential feeling after you've participated in this thing for 1,000 times, if they have any integrity, they'll tell you, I always feel like crap. And so that's the real message that
Mm.
I want to invite people into, is why do you pursue behaviors that confirm these really negative beliefs about who you are? And so I think that's the work of the gospel, is to be able to invite people into, what are those stories of heartache, brokenness, that something of your family, something of the evil one has convinced you that uh, the image of God might be true for some people and at different times throughout your life, but definitely not in this instance. And then you begin to kind of feel like, you know what, there's, if people really knew who I was, they would never want anything to do with me. And then you have all of this data and all of this evidence, like, here's exhibit A, B, and C in the court of law against myself. And so that's the message that I think we really need to invite people into healing, is, where did that message of shame really begin to find legitimacy? And then how do we turn and face that message of shame?
I love your nuance. So, is part of what you're saying that if pornography was merely about self medicating, then when I'm finished, I would feel medicated? But I don't. I feel like trash. So, something else is going on
Mhm.
here. This is the first
Yes,
time
like
I've really heard this. This is really cool.
yeah, I think it's a big issue in our field, and again, it might feel like splitting hairs, but I think language matters, right? The language that we use to define a problem, the language that we use to justify why we do what we do, and that's, just even like when you think about Jesus's words in Matthew 5. Jesus talks about sin as the issue of lust, yes, which is adultery. But he also says those of you that are angry are guilty of murder. So right away, Jesus is saying, the human heart is an adulterous heart, but it's also a murderous heart. And so I think, especially in Christian
Mm.
communities, that sense of, we have defined porn as an exclusively lust issue, but it's also an issue of anger. It's an issue of power. Of, in porn, I can get exactly what I want when I want it, and I can, use another person's body to atone for all of the crap and all of the heartache that I have been through in my life. And so again, is lust true? Absolutely. But is anger also, and a desire for power and control, also part of it? Yes. And so same thing with regard to self-medicating, is, yes, we need something, some of the heartache of what we have been through, both presently and in the past. But there's so much more to the story than that. And I think it's that danger of partial truths that is so damaging to us when we're thinking about how do we define any particular area of problem.